How many have been in them? How many? Raise them up. Raise them up. I tell you guys, I love you guys. When Coach Kyle and I talked last year at the San Diego Honor Bowl, and he said, Coach, you got to bring this to Arizona. Here we are. Here we are. Coach Kyle, come up here, buddy. Come up here. You're the man. Even with one wing. Even with one wing, buddy. Even with one wing. Guys, it is an honor to be in this school. I'm going to tell you again why you're in this event and what the heart of this event is. Some of you may have heard this story, but I want you to hear it again. To us, it's much more than a football game. It's by the spirit of your athleticism, by the spirit of you guys going out there and playing a sport, you are giving back to the wounded, injured, and ill people of our military. This is what you do. But it's important that I remind you of why we are playing this event. And I'm going to go back to 2010 when my Marine son was in Camp Pendleton getting ready to go to Afghanistan. It was a day like no other. What we would do is we would go down to Camp Pendleton, we'd buy him a keg of beer, and we'd say, guys, come on over, invite your friends, come on over. Let's throw a party before you guys go and get some. But this deployment was much different. My son never told me where he was going. I knew he was going to Afghanistan, but I didn't know what part. So on this particular day, he takes me by the shoulder, takes me for a walk, and says, Dad, I think you should know where we're going. He goes, Dad, we're going to this place in Afghanistan called Sangin. Do yourself a favor, don't Google it. So what do you think I did? Google. Wait, son. This Sangin in Afghanistan right here? This one that says that the British Royal Marines have been there for several years, have lost 200 men? This thing in Afghanistan where over 400 of them lost their legs? This is where you guys are going? Yes, Dad, that's where we're going. A few days later, they left. Mom and I were freaking out. We never thought we would see our son again alive, let alone see him with the legs. He said, Dad, when he came home, that when he was landing in the FOB, they heard this pinging coming off the helicopter. And he goes, Dad, they were shooting at us while we were landing. Then he looked out the window and he saw that as they were landing, they were surrounded by white flags. What do we think of when we think of white flags? Surrender, right? Not to the Taliban. The Taliban put these sheets on the ground and with black spray paint, death to the Americans, death to the infidels. That's you and I, guys. My kids weren't much older than you guys. They get acclimated to their FOB, and the first patrol leaves the base. And as it leaves the base, it gets several blocks down the road, and they hear this boom! Oh my God, what happened to that patrol? It just left the base. Oh my God, radio into the patrol. Guys, you okay? Radio silence. They mount up. They go, oh my God, something happened to that patrol. They head out the gates. What happened to our patrol? And when they arrive on the scene, under enemy sniper fire, they find that the Humvee that the first car was in ran over a roadside bomb. The bomb so big that it lifted it off the ground, twisted it like a corkscrew, and 4 Marines were instantly killed. This is where it gets freaky, guys. I'm a football coach back in Sacramento, California. And a neighbor calls me up the street and he says, Coach, your son's a Marine, right? I go, yeah, my son's a Marine. He goes, something happened next door to our neighbors, but they have a Marine son and it's not good. There was a lot of crime, and I saw men dressed in blues leave their house. I think something happened to their son. So I go, give me their number. I want to call them. I want to see if they're okay, if there's anything I can do. And that's when I found out that the Marine was killed. His name was Lance Corporal Victor Dew. I coached him in football. I said, Patty, Tom, is there anything I could do? I know you're on your way to Dover to get your son's body, but is there anything I could do to help? And that's what Patty said. will you help with the media? Will you help? We're just getting so many calls. And a few days later, as I was getting to know them, they gave me the honor and they said, Coach, will you eulogize our son? You want me to help you bury your son? My son's in Afghanistan too. You want me to? Will you help bury our son? So I eulogized him. I saw the hole. I saw the flag draped coffin. I saw the playing of taps. And I saw him get lowered into the ground. It changed my life. Changed it. And then a few days later, my son calls me on the satellite phone from Afghanistan. And he's like, I go, oh my God, what is, Dad, son, are you okay? Are you okay? Dad, the colonel tells me that a coach eulogized Victor Dew. Was that you, Dad? Did you help eulogize Victor? I said, yes, Dad. I helped eulogize him. Yes, son. He goes, Dad, I was there. I was the first vehicle there. I cut him out of the vehicle. Changed my life. I couldn't speak. I didn't know what to do. But I knew that I had friends that were coaches, that were leaders in the community, that were passionate about our military, and I said, we got to do something to give back. And that's when we created the Honor Bowl, which over the years has become the greatest high school football showcase in America. That's what you guys are playing in. That's why we brought this to your school, to honor your community, to honor your fans, to honor your parents, to honor the men and women that have fought, bled, and died for our freedom. By the spirit of your athleticism, this is you giving back. I love Red Mountain. I love you guys. It's an honor. Now I want you to meet one of those Marines that was with my son in battle. Let's give it up for First Sergeant Freddie Torres.
Red Mountain, good afternoon. It's a tremendous honor and privilege to be up here and be able to share a little bit of wisdom, a little bit of my experience when I was with 3rd Battalion, 5th Marines. Just like Coach said, my name is Freddie Torres. I'm a first sergeant in the United States Marine Corps. It's an E8. I was born and raised 2 hours south from here in Tucson. If you ever played Sunnyside High School, that's where I graduated from. 2006, when I graduated, I joined the Marine Corps. And just 4 years later, I was still part of 3-5. I landed in that deployment to Sangin, Afghanistan. We got there September of 2010, and the battalion was due back to California, where their home base was, April 2011. So just shy of 8 months. October 13th, I was about a mile away from that massive explosion, and we felt it at our base, the patrol base. We felt it at the PB. Just a couple months later, on December 30th, 2010, another quick story. There was a patrol out of Marines, 25 of them. They were in a completely new area. They were gaining intelligence, talking to the local nationals. For about 4 or 5 hours, they were out, and they were making their way back to the patrol base. On their way back to the patrol base, the back of the patrol, one of the Marines stepped on an IED, an improvised explosive device, a roadside bomb essentially. That bomb was 25 pounds big. A 25-pound bomb would have killed all 25 of those Marines on that patrol that day. Thankfully, only about 4 pounds, it was a low detonation roadside bomb, 4 pounds went off, and the Marine that stepped on it, it shattered his foot. It broke his leg. Thankfully, that's all that happened. So they got him on a stretcher, they got him into the patrol base, got him in a truck, got him out of there. Now there's still about 20 pounds of HME, the homemade explosive, sitting out there. And the Marines need to go back there and pick it up or blow it in place so the Taliban doesn't pick it up and use it against them. So the sergeant, the squad leader, makes a decision. Instead of going out 24 at this point deep, he's going to send out a 4-man team. A squad leader, a combat engineer, and 2 assaultmen. Go out there, take a stick of explosions, place it on the ground, do the 60-second timer, walk away from it, let it blow up. As they're staging and the squad leader goes down and sets it up, the 3 men go around the corner and set security. From the east, about 200 meters, the Taliban had been watching. And as he's about to blow, they open up with their machine guns on that sergeant and 3-man team. The sergeant picks up his rifle and starts running in the direction of the Taliban for about 20, 30 meters. He saw a waist-high wall where he was going to take a knee behind and engage the Taliban. Once he got to that wall, he fell on his back and looked down, and his uniform was covered in red below the waist. Realizing he had been shot twice, once in each leg. From the left of his corner, from the corner of his eye, left side, he sees one of those Marines that was holding security sprinting to him. He gets to him, takes his medical scissors out, and starts cutting his pants off. Blood was gushing out. His femoral artery had been shot. Places his fingers in the hole in the wound, places palm in it, gauze in it, applies a tourniquet, ties it up, controls the bleeding for a second. He calls the quick reaction force at the patrol base. Said, we need a stretcher. My squad leader's dying. He's bleeding out. We have to get him out of here. We have to get him to the next echelon of care. A couple minutes pass by. The stretcher comes out. That quick reaction force comes out. They put him on the stretcher. On a count of 3, all guns open up on the Taliban so we can get my squad leader out. 1, 2, 3. They pick him up and start moving him the last 100 meters to get him into the truck to get him out of there. As that sergeant's laying on the stretcher, he looks up to his left, and one of his buddies is carrying him, his best friend, another sergeant. He grabs his hand, and he says these last words to him. Tell my mom I love her, and tell my boys I'm sorry. Squeezes tight again and says, tell my mom I love her, and tell my boys I'm sorry. His hand falls. They get him in the truck. They get him out of Afghanistan. They get him to Germany. The surgeries start. They get him to California and San Diego where he started his recovery. The sergeant made it. That squad leader made it. This is the other half of that story. January 2011, the doctors, the staff, the personnel from the medical facility came to him, the experts, and said, your legs are getting amputated next week. By the way, here's your medical retirement paperwork. You can no longer serve in the Marine Corps with a prosthetic. So that sergeant, that squad leader fought back. He said, give it a couple of weeks. Let's try a little bit of physical therapy. Let's see where this goes. The doctors were hesitant about it, but they accepted it. They knew the leg was going to get amputated. But that sergeant had a different mindset. He had a challenge ahead of him. He was facing adversity. 2 to 3 physical therapies a week turned into 2 to 3 physical therapies a day. 2 to 3 times a week to every single day grinding in the gym. Started in a wheelchair, got into a walker, got on crutches, got off of them, started jogging, started running. Remember, the battalion's due back April 2011 because that sergeant wanted to be there when that plane landed and that staircase came down. He wanted to receive his squad fully medically qualified and ready with his whole body. He faced a lot of challenges, a lot of surgeries, a lot of adversity came, a lot of times where he wanted to give up. But I'll tell you, April 2011, when that plane landed at March Air Force Base in Riverside, California, and that staircase came down, and that squad started coming down the staircase, I stood there at the bottom of that staircase, and I hugged every single one of my squad members that saved my life on December 30th, 2010, just 3 months prior. I share that story with you because of everything that I went through in those 3.5 months. From December 30th, 2010 to April 15, 2011, just 4 months, I wanted to give up. I wanted to quit. I had many setbacks. I had to go back to a wheelchair because it was painful. I wanted to give up. But I got the mental part of it, and I got out of my head, and I share that story with you because of whatever you go through out in the field, an injury, pain, a challenge, adversity, and it may not even be in the field, out playing football. It might be a situation at home. It might be a relationship. It might be your family. It might be a job. It might be a fill in your blank. Whatever challenges you go through, you can get through it. The best part of this whole story, 2 years ago, God brought me to my knees because I wouldn't share this story. I didn't share this story for 14 years. 2 years ago, God said, it's time to surrender. It's time to let go of the shame. It's time to let go of the guilt, because I had a lot of both of those, because I gave up on my squad because I got injured. I made a decision that got me injured. So I held that shame and I held that guilt. But God brought me to my knees and he said, you have a gift. You have a gift with the youth. You have a gift with the young adults. And now I'm grateful and blessed to be able to minister to young adults and to youth every single week. All glory to God. He kept me around truly to share this story, and not just my combat trauma to help Marines out, but my childhood trauma. Growing up without a dad, having a mom with 2 to 3 jobs that raised 5 on her own. And I'm blessed today to stand in front of you and share this story. You're going to see 25 faces, 25 banners out there of the Marines that did not make it home from that deployment. But this isn't a story, Sabi, to get you down. This is a story that whatever challenge you're going through, one, whatever you believe in, give it to that. I had to give it all to God. I had to submit. I had to accept what he had for me, and this is it. Whatever challenges you go through, you can get through them. Best of luck tonight, the rest of your season. Thank you, coaches. Thank you. God bless every single one of you.
Marcus, I don't know if any of you have had the honor to meet Marcus Chischilli, but Marcus Chischilli is a Purple Heart recipient, wounded Marine. I wanted to honor Marcus and introduce him to you. Patty, if you would come up here, please. This is Patty Schumacher. I told you the story of her son. She was the mom of the young man that I eulogized, of Victor Dew. I wanted you to meet Patty. The man with the camera right there is Rick Sutter. All the graphics that you see on social media, your players of the games and who are the ones to watch out for, he's the one that's created them. Guys, it's an absolute honor to be here at Red Mountain. Coach, can I have you up here real quick? We have the decals. We have the decals. Please put them on the helmet. Coach, who is the young man that's going to be leading the team out there today carrying the flag?
Who's got the flag? We got a captain. Red Wing, let's go.
Red Wing. Red Wing, when it's time for you to be announced, we'll give you the flag. You'll lead the team through your mountain line, okay? All right, at the end of the game, remember we give out the awards. Coach Kyle is going to select which one of you is going to be the character award winner. One of you is going to be voted by the media in attendance, and there's a lot of them here, right? One of you is going to win the MVP. And we will be handing this coach the 2024 First Arizona Honor Bowl Championship Trophy, right? Come on, come on, come on. All right, get up, guys, get up, get up. Get in tight with me, guys, get in tight, arms up, arms up. The Marines got a saying, and that's get some. It's get some. When I say 3-5, you say get some. 3-5! Get some! 3-5! Get some! 3-5! Get some! Woo! Get some, guys. Go. Go. 1, 2, 3. Family!